In this episode, you will learn what Operation Midnight Jackal was. What kind of news from Sindh was that people had stopped buying newspapers? What was the tragedy that proved to be the last reason for the end of the Benazir Bhutto era? In 1989, Senior Officer Intelligence Bureau, Masood Khattak. Some secretly made tapes were presented to Benazir Bhutto. In these tapes, two ISI officers, Brigadier Imtiaz Ahmed and Major Amir, were planning a no-confidence motion in Parliament against the PPP government. The opposition had few votes, less for the no-confidence motion to succeed. According to tapes, Brigadier Imtiaz Ahmed and Major Amir were pressuring some MNAs to vote against their party. This conspiracy was caught on tape. They were caught on audio tapes and videotapes. But before that, to understand what Operation Midnight Jackal was, there were preparations made for tabling the no-confidence motion. This conspiracy is called Operation Midnight Jackal. This name was given by DGIB Masood Khattak as well. They were operating like jackals and in the middle of the night. After the conspiracy was exposed, the Pakistani Army initiated an inquiry against Brigade Imtiaz and Major Amir. Both the officers said in the inquiry that they were doing all this on the order of Chief of Army Staff, General Aslam Beg, and President Pakistan Ghulam Ishaq Khan, but could not prove this in military courts. Therefore, after the trials, Major Amir and Brigadier Imtiaz had all their honors taken back, and they were retired. They sent me the full report of Midnight Jackal. I studied. I was pressurized to court-martial them. I saw that there was not enough evidence for a huge punishment by the court-martial. I told Bibi, I have my own discretionary powers, so I can take action against them. She said again that court-martial is a better option. I said that if there is a court-martial, then many politicians will be named, and the army will be named. Both the institutions will be defamed. Allow me to punish them with my discretionary authority. I retired both the officers from the service due to the fault of the officer. Brigadier Imtiaz and Major Amir refused this conspiracy all their lives and vowed time and again that it was not a conspiracy. Instead, they were acting as a conspiracy to get information only on the orders of their officers. I was the in-charge director of Pakistan's internal security, and the head of this institution was a Lieutenant General, DG ISI. There was a country president and there was a chief of army staff. All decisions which were made and the orders which were issued were from this triangle. I said I was doing all this for DG. I have even given his result to DG. Host, you were giving them written. Answer, yes, written. And in the statement I gave there were 12 questions. There are all these things in it. The Midnight Jackal was not even an IB operation. No doubt IB was recording. Actually, it was a trap operation. Operation Midnight was an attempt to overthrow the People's Party government, which failed. But in 1990, there was a tragedy that led to the ouster of the Benazir government. PPP and MQM were allied in Sindh and the center, but MQM leader Altaf Hussain had a lot of differences with the government, which he used to express in the form of processions and strikes. The matter was not just political warfare, rather the situation worsened and culminated in racial riots. When MQM demands were not met, MQM was not satisfied. They separated from the government. Therefore, the Sindh government was in danger. The question raised was whether the government of the PPP will be able to stay there or not. For political revenge, they started attacking MQM. And MQM, in return, slipped towards gang war tactics vigorously, and the killings started on both sides. Newspaper reports on a daily basis show that a number of dead bodies were going from Karachi to other cities in Pakistan. Those who died from violence, Punjabi, Sindhi, Mohajirs, and Pashtuns, were all included. Not only did the mutilated bodies come from Karachi and Hyderabad, but news reports of bombings were also coming out. The news was so shocking that weak-hearted people stopped buying newspapers. The situation became so ugly that Karachi and Hyderabad had to witness curfews. the Sindh government failed to curb riots and bloodshed. This was the situation when IG Sindh got information that some accused of murder had taken shelter in the Pakka Qilla. On May 26, 1990, under the leadership of IG Sindh, the police started the operation to arrest them. Pakka Qilla was considered the hub of Altaf Hussein's party, MQM. Police said that bullets and violence had to be encountered when the search was started in Pakka Qilla. The police retaliated aggressively. From here, the matter began to worsen. According to MQM, the police also shot fire on the protesters holding the Quran in their hands. Women were raped and children were targeted. Such news was also published in newspapers that those people holding the Pakistani flag who came to help the people of Pakistan were also fired. The operation continued on the second day when the army interfered and stopped the operation. This operation led to the end of Benazir Bhutto's rule. Benazir Bhutto described this operation as a conspiracy. She said later that facts have been presented with exaggeration. Indeed, the Pakka Qilla incident was exaggerated. The government was restoring law and order. It was said that there was a massacre in Pakka Qilla, but there was no massacre. And after overthrowing the government, the investigation team was appointed, which also said there was not any massacre. At the time of the Pakka Qilla tragedy, the operational head of the military intelligence Sindh unit was Brigadier Hamid Saeed. In those days, military intelligence was the most efficient spy force. Brigadier Hamid Saeed tells a totally different story about this in his special talk with Deco Suno and Jano. He says, when they started the operation, gas, electricity, and water in the area turned off. After 3 days, women, the children, who hung the Quran in their necks and raised the Quran on their heads, came out saying, "We are dying hungry. In the name of God, stop atrocities on women and children procession," they fired blindly, which resulted in more than 50 deaths. MQM used to say the death toll was about 200, and the government was saying 48. But the more trustworthy number was more than 50. The situation was that at the time, bombings were spreading in Sindh and Punjab. Large quantities of weapons were being caught in Peshawar. India had put the army on the Pakistani border. In this bleak scenario, another incident occurred. Salman Rushdie, a British citizen, wrote a blasphemous book that caused hurt to the feelings of Muslims in the whole world. A demonstration was held outside the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan, in which 6 people lost their lives. The government had strong pressure to break relations with Western countries on the Salman Rushdie issue. Benazir Bhutto's relations with the army chief had also worsened, and her relationship also suffered a lot with President Ghulam Ishaq Khan. These were the conditions in which, on August 6, 1990, Ghulam Ishaq Khan's voice echoed on Radio Pakistan. "Dear countrymen, I believe
that till now you know that, under Article 58 2b of the Constitution, exercising my powers with a presidential order, I dissolved the National Assembly. As a result, the Prime Minister and his cabinet have not remained in their positions." The charge sheet he made on Benazir Bhutto's government's tragedy was on top. On this charge sheet, Nawa and Waqt published the news that President Ishaq's speech was the same as all dictators of the past read against the dismissal of Benazir's government. Appeals filed in Sindh and Lahore high courts, but these appeals were rejected and assemblies were not restored. The total duration of Benazir's first government was 20 months and 4 days. Today you have serious differences over the names of the interim Prime Minister and the Chief Ministers. But do you know that after the dismissal of the Benazir government, who was appointed the Prime Minister of the interim government, the interim Prime Minister was IG Chief Ghulam Mustafa Jatoi, the same Ghulam Mustafa Jatoi who led a coalition against the PPP in the past in the 1990 elections, which 3 charges were made against Benazir Bhutto by Nawaz Sharif, which came back to him after 28 years. What role did Bilawal House's Gardner and Babar Sharif play in the 1990 election? Foreign observers declared the election transparent. What was the story behind the division of 14 million rupees? We will tell you all this in the 19th episode of Pakistan Story. Watch the next episodes on time. Subscribe to English Mirchi. Click on the bell icon to make sure that every update is received on time.